So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our Antarctica information session in partnership with Expedia Cruises and National Geographic Lindblad Expedition. Today, we will explore how small ship expedition, expert-led learning, and immersive exploration tools work together to deepen our understanding of Antarctica and other remote regions of the world. My name is Charlotte Chow from Expedia Cruises East York office, and I proudly introduce our partnership with Expedia Cruises Lee Side office, Yuki Khan and Jackie May, and our special guest speaker, Ms. Carla Matthew. Carla Matthew is Regional Sales Director, Canada with National Geographic Lindblad Expedition, and she is also known as the Polar Expert. Now let Carla start talking about your expertise.
Well, thank you so much, Charlotte and Jackie and everyone for having me. And I'm so grateful that we're gathered today because I've actually been in the expedition industry for over 17 years. So focused primarily on small ship expeditions in the Arctic and Antarctica. And 2.5 years ago, I joined Lindblad Expeditions for the role in Toronto to take care of the Canadian market with fantastic partners like Expedia Cruises. So thank you so much for having me, Charlotte. This is fantastic. I wanted to share a little bit about um, our company and who we are. And we're celebrating actually a 60th anniversary this month, which is really exciting. We're celebrating the fact that Lars Erik Lindblad actually took the first group of private citizens to Antarctica way back in 1966. And he also took the first group of non-scientific travelers to the Galapagos Islands in 1967. And he actually helped pay the wages out of his own pocket for the first two Galapagos Rangers to help preserve and protect Galapagos to what it is today. So he really did make history as the first explorer to bring private citizens to some of these really remote, epic wildernesses on our planet. And he is regarded from a lot of people as the father of ecotourism. And so he really did see travel as an incredible opportunity to expose people to the wonder of the world so that we might actually think differently about our planet and our role in protecting it. And his son, Sven Lindblad, who is on the right hand side there, his son Sven actually continued the family legacy and helped National Geographic Lindblad Expeditions be what it is today. So his son Sven Lindblad actually created an offshoot of his father's company in 1979, and they worked side by side. And I love the focus of our company. The why is really conservation, preservation, and education. So we've also been exploring areas of the Arctic for over 50 years, Alaska for over 50 years. We're even going to areas like Haida Gwaii off the British Columbia coast, which is really special. I'm originally from British Columbia. And of course, as I mentioned, now I am in Toronto. But it's so wonderful to know that we're also exploring so many areas of Canada. We've also been exploring the Arctic for over 50, or over, sorry, Baja California for over 40 years, which I will talk about a little bit today because it is our one of our top 5 destinations for Canadian travelers. I think getting away from this chilly weather that we're all experiencing across our beautiful country. So we're actually exploring 7 continents. Wherever the water hits the shore, including a lot of rivers like the Upper Amazon River, we've been exploring for over 30 years. We've been exploring also the Columbian Snake River in Oregon and Washington. So if you want to stay a little bit closer to home, we've also been exploring the Nile in Egypt. We're also exploring the Rhine River in Europe. So we're exploring so many different areas of our planet on small little expedition ships. So all of our ships are based on small little vessels built for exploration. And when I say small, I mean 154 guests down to 16 passengers.
What is expedition travel? What makes it different from a cruise? Cruise is really focused inwardly. It's more about the ship and less about the place. On an expedition, it's just the reverse. The ship is a tool to get you into a place, to allow you an immersion in extraordinary experiences, to emotionally connect you with remarkable places and feel your understanding of the world grow.
So we actually have 24 little vessels in our fleet. So we have 12 ships that we own. These are the 12 ships that we actually own, and they're named National Geographic vessels to pay homage to our relationship with National Geographic, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But we have the four top ships on the four top left-hand side there. Those are our blue water ships. So those are exploring areas like the Arctic, Antarctica. Some of them even explore the South Pacific, like Tahiti, Fiji, Japan, in addition to areas like Azores, Morocco. And then we have our four ships on the far right that are our ships in the Galapagos. And then we have our little vessels on the bottom left that are actually off the coast of North America, on the west coast of North America all year round, from Alaska, British Columbia coast into Baja California, and some of them actually go right into Central America and back. But then we have 12 little ships that we charter. And some of you may have experienced an expedition before. Some of you have not, which is why you're here as well, to inquire a little bit about what expedition cruising is all about. And we really are the pioneers in expedition cruising. And what I love, though, is if some of you haven't thought about a ship before, a small ship expedition, that's perfectly fine. So many people have traveled with us before that haven't been on a ship before. But then, of course, some large ship cruisers, if you do love those large ship cruises, some people are coming back to us to explore some of these really remote destinations and then going back to your regular large ship cruise line after. But out of the 12 little ships that we actually charter, the Delphine 2 and the Delphine 3 are gorgeous, luxurious relay and chateau properties that we have in the Upper Amazon. So it's our National Geographic certified photographer still on all of our chartered vessels. It's our expedition leader. It's our programming. We just don't own these ships. And so, for instance, I wanted to share with you the Sea Cloud 2, because if some of you haven't expedition focused adventure yet in the past, if you haven't been on an expedition, if you love sailing, if you love cruising, this is a great place to start. It's only 88 passengers, and we're exploring areas on a very luxurious yacht, this Sea Cloud 2. It's a tall ship. She is a gorgeous little vessel that explores area like Italy, Croatia, even the Caribbean with us. And then I did want to just highlight one of our other little chartered expedition vessels, this beautiful ship, the Gregory Mortimer, and we're exploring 3 itineraries next year in Alaska and British Columbia with her. So that's just to share with you that we do have fantastic ships that we just don't own. So 24 little vessels in our fleet. All of them are small. And when I say 154 guests or less, it's really important that when you're thinking of exploring areas like the Arctic, Antarctica, Galapagos, that you're choosing a small ship if you want to get off the ship as much as possible. And so it's really asking your Expedia Cruises consultant, what is the benefit of a small expedition ship? And that's what we're here for. We're here to help our Expedia Cruises partners to help you find the experience that you really want. So small ship access means that everyone can get off the ship at the same time. We're on these little ships to kick you off of these little ships and immerse yourself in the destination and to explore. But since my career started in Antarctica, I wanted to just share with you a little bit of a map, a visual, to share that if you're on a ship that's under 200 passengers, you have access to landing sites in Antarctica that the larger ships over 200 passengers to 500 passengers don't. So if you want to maximize your time off the ship and everyone getting off the ship at the same time, highly recommend a ship under 200 passengers in an area like Antarctica, for instance, and also areas like the Arctic, like Greenland. Now, in Antarctica, if you are on a ship between 200 and 500 passengers, you still potentially can get off and land and get on the continent, which is great, and walk amongst the penguins. But it's just how many times do you want to get off? And you're waiting a long period of time to actually have an operation for a lot of guests that are on the ship with you to get off. And then ships that are over 500 passengers in Antarctica can't get off at all. And so there's heavy regulations in Antarctica and also the Arctic. There's a board in the Antarctic area. It's called the IATO board. And we actually were one of the founding members to help regulate tourism in Antarctica and to help make sure that it's regulated, these really pristine, beautiful places in the world, just to make sure that it's not overtrodden by tourism and it is taken care of. So I mentioned a little bit about our relationship with National Geographic, and in 2004, this is when Lindblad Expeditions and National Geographic connected and joined forces to inspire the world through expedition travel. And so this collaboration in exploration, research, and technology really does enhance your experience in the regions that we're visiting when you're traveling with us. You have access to not only world-renowned researchers and scientists, we also have a National Geographic certified photographer on every single voyage. And then I even traveled on the ships that we own. I had a National Geographic photographer in Patagonia with me in October, Isai. He's phenomenal. And he not only is a photographer in his own right, but he's also a scientist. And he actually discovered 6 species of insects in Patagonia in his career so far. So it's great that when you're exploring with us, education is such a piece and at the heart of what we do when we're exploring responsibly. And I wanted to just share this little video with you.
I have walls of National Geographic magazines going back to 1947. And if you look through some of those, you will find notes from my father, from me, and from a whole host of people that we were working with in the early days of Lindblad Expeditions. Back then, National Geographic was like Google for explorers. In 2004, National Geographic's tagline was, "The world and all that's in it." Their mission was to disseminate information about the world's culture, history, and nature so people could understand it better. We at Lindblad Expeditions took people to the remote places regularly showcased in National Geographic's many outlets so that they could connect to them and appreciate them more deeply. I saw that Lindblad and National Geographic were uniquely aligned and that together we could create unforgettable travel experiences.
Again, to pay homage to our relationship with National Geographic, we named the 12 ships that we own National Geographic vessels. So that is why you see National Geographic on our ships. Before we get into a few misconceptions about expedition, we not only created this collaboration with National Geographic, but in 2008, National Geographic Society and Lindblad Expeditions actually created a fund. So Lindblad Expeditions National Geographic Fund in 2008 has invested over $25 million for research, for critical marine research. We've actually protected over 6.8 million square kilometers of oceans. Only 8% of our oceans are actually protected right now. And so it's really important that when we're exploring, again, the whole point is conservation and preservation and exposing travelers like you to the world around us. We also send teachers in the US and Canada over on trips to Galapagos and Patagonia and Antarctica to help them come back to their own communities and their own classrooms to educate their own communities. So we've sent over 400 Grosvenor teacher fellows with this program. Last year alone, we sent 34 teachers from Canada and the US, and I had a privilege of traveling with a few of them in Patagonia as well. So we are all about, the focus is on conservation and preservation. We also were home and the host to the Arctic Expedition for Climate Action in Svalbard off the coast of Norway as well. But I want to share with you the definition of an expedition, because some of you that are with us today, you might think, oh my gosh, an expedition, it's too out of the box, it's too rough, I have to be too active. I also think the food might not be that great. But a definition of an expedition is a journey undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, especially that of exploration. And so with that being said, for some of you that haven't been on an expedition before and are thinking about it, you don't have to be really active. You can definitely be an active traveler, but you can also be a leisure traveler. If you can walk a dog once a day for about 20 to 30 minutes at a leisurely pace, you can get a lot out of a trip with National Geographic Lindblad Expeditions. And our food across our whole fleet is phenomenal. In Galapagos, for instance, we have a farm-to-table cuisine that we started. We were the first operator to start it in the Galapagos in 2017. Our chefs across our whole fleet are phenomenal, and we're always trying to curate meals to reflect the regions that we're in as much as possible. And an expedition is really different than a large ship cruise because flexibility is key. We're at the mercy of wildlife and weather, and our expedition leaders with our captain are really planning A, B, C, and D options, and maybe plan A is affected by weather, but we might have a plan C that's phenomenal. And so just making sure you're packing your sense of adventure and expecting the unexpected. And a big piece of an expedition is not only education, like I was mentioning earlier, education is at the heart of what we do, but also just away from crowds, off the beaten path, and getting you where the large ships can't. So all of our tools for exploring off the ship with National Geographic Lindblad Expeditions are included. That's a really big differentiator between us and a lot of the other expedition operators. You're not paying to get off the ship with us. So we have these little rubber Zodiacs that we're using in most of the areas that we're operating, like Galapagos and Antarctica. And I like to say, if you can get in and out of a bathtub, you can get in and out of a Zodiac. Our crew are there to help you. And I know Jackie's going to share later on some of his personal experience exploring Antarctica with us. And I think people have this preconceived notion that it's too out of their comfort zones, but we're there to help every step of the way, getting all the guests in and out of the Zodiacs. And then on the left-hand side, this is an example of a wet landing in Galapagos, where we're scooching everyone to the stern of the little rubber Zodiac, this little really stable vessel, which we're using for Zodiac cruising, to cruise around icebergs and to see a little maybe wildlife. And it's a great way of just getting in and out of the Zodiac. And again, we're there to help every level of guest in and out of the Zodiac. And so hiking and walking, we have various levels of hiking and walking. Each hike is guided by one of our experts, and these vary in the destinations that we're in and the landing. So for instance, early season Antarctica, we might be able to use the snowshoes and go for a little bit of a walk, and that's included, that you see there. But in Galapagos, for instance, one morning, we might actually have a really steep hike, but if you can't actually do that hike, then we'll try and still get you off the ship and do another activity. And so there's various levels of hiking and walking offered, just depending on the destination and the particular landing. We also have kayaking and paddleboarding included, depending on the destination. So stand-up paddleboarding is in areas like Galapagos and the South Pacific, like Tahiti and Fiji. We have kayaking included in areas like Alaska, Antarctica, Greenland. So this is a great way of getting you off the ship as much as possible if you're really adventurous and you want to try some of these additional activities. We also have snorkeling included in areas like Baja California, Galapagos, South Pacific. We supply all of the equipment, so a few less things for you to pack. We supply the snorkel, the wetsuit, the flippers. And then on every departure, we have an expedition photography program. So we have a National Geographic certified photographer. We have workshops given throughout the trip. If you're a really avid photographer, you can approach them about tips and tricks on a landing site or out on deck. But then if you are like me and I have no photography experience, I love just learning how to take better pictures with my cell phone. On the ships that we own, we also have cameras that you can actually take out with no cost and rent them out. And that's included in your voyage. So if you want to try a new lens or a new camera, you're more than welcome to do so. And at the end of every day, right before dinner, we gather all the guests. So you gather around our circle of truth is what this is called on all of our voyages. And we share a little bit about what we've seen that day. And then the expedition leader comes and shares what we're going to see the following day and what we're going to aim for. And expedition isn't just about wildlife, and it's not just about scenery. I think it's a big misconceived notion that it's about polar bears and penguins and that's it, or blue-footed boobies. And it's really just as much about the experience with cuisine, the art, music inspired by the destination experts that are on the trip with us. Maybe it's our National Geographic Lindblad Expeditions guide that's a historian. But then in some of our destinations too, we also have an additional on-shore cultural specialist to enhance your experience when you're in areas, for instance, like Croatia. We have a 24-hour open bridge policy on all of our ships, and this is one of my best places to sit and be and mingle with the captain, mingle with the first officers, 24 hours a day on your trip. I know that if you haven't experienced this before, this is going to be one of your favorite places too when you're after lunch and the ship's repositioning, or even at night at 11 o'clock at night in Galapagos. I was in the bridge and asked the third officer where the Southern Cross was because I hadn't been able to point it out before. So the open bridge is a really big differentiator between us and a lot of the other expedition operators. And then again, that's 24 hours. And even on ships like the Sea Cloud 2, you're allowed on the bridge. All of this is led by an expert expedition team. Some of our expedition team have been with us for well over 40 years. I was just actually communicating early this morning with one of our expedition team members from Vancouver Island. She is fantastic, Jackie White, and she was my historian on my Patagonia trip. And we have such experts, not only that are driving the Zodiacs and experienced and safe, but also in their own right knowledgeable about the areas in that they're studying, for instance, geology or geography. And so it's approximately one expedition team member to as low as 7 guests in a lot of the destinations that we're in. And then sometimes it's 1 to 14. So one expedition team member to 14 guests, for instance, in an area like Upper Amazon, where we're on a 28 passenger ship in the Upper Amazon. But I wanted to share with you a couple of our destinations and whisk you away to the Galapagos, because this is our #1 destination right now for Canadian travelers. This is truly like no other place on the planet. And I'm thrilled that the Expedia Cruises locations that we're on with today have taken out a group departure for special group rates, because we are now officially not only the largest donor in the Galapagos, contribute to the largest farms, we have the largest expedition team, the largest staff. We make a deep commitment to be the largest operator in the Galapagos. And this is that fantastic archipelago of islands about 1,000 kilometers off the coast of mainland Ecuador. And if you love wildlife, there is wildlife at every turn. The proximity to wildlife, we try and keep 6 feet away from the sea lions and the blue-footed boobies, but they don't understand. They don't get it. And so the little juvenile sea lions that you see here on the top left sometimes are so curious that even if you're sitting on the beach or just staring, taking a picture at them, they might come up right up to you. So the Galapagos is remarkable not only for wildlife, but also activity. We're off the ship approximately 4 times a day, depending on weather. Kayaking, I was in a kayak in Galapagos and we were in such a calm cove, and I spotted 2 hammerhead pups swimming underneath my kayak. It was one of the most peaceful experiences I've ever had in my life. And what's really exciting though is if you want to jump in the water with black-tipped reef sharks or hammerhead sharks, you can do so, because we're snorkeling as much as possible. Some of the snorkeling activities are an hour and a half, 2 hours. I was out there one time for 2 hours. And then of course, if you are tired, you can always be brought back to the ship or in the Zodiac. And I loved snorkeling. Highly recommend UV clothing, of course, but a lot of people, even though the water was quite warm when I went in February and March, some people like to use the wetsuits to protect themselves from the sun as well, because the equator sun is quite warm. But if you are out of your creature comfort zones, swimming with black-tipped reef sharks, we have glass-bottom boats in the Galapagos on 3 of our larger vessels. So you can still experience what's under the water, but not have to worry about the currents being strong if you're not a strong swimmer, or swimming with some creatures that you don't want to swim with.
Exploring Galapagos with National Geographic Lindblad Expeditions is very special. You feel the history of the entire planet here.
Galapagos is another world. In the National Geographic Lindblad's the way to come here. There is no other choice.
The days are packed with activities,
But you're not required to participate in any activity.
We both love to swim.
Kayaking was also wonderful.
I feel very confident in the water, but it's nice to know that we're being watched after for our safety.
It's fantastic having photographers on board to give you tips. The attention to detail by every member of the staff is amazing.
The naturalists telling us about the environment has been just invaluable.
There was open bridge too. Captain was welcoming and willing to tell me about all the instruments. That was a great time.
that feeling of luxury on board our ships comes from having these life-expanding moments and sharing it with fellow human beings.
It succeeds on every level. The comfort of the ship, the service. The food is delicious, and the head chef was very accommodating.
The service is so outstanding.
They really care about my experience.
I'm really thrilled that Nat Geo and Lindblad support the local efforts around what's best for the islands and the wildlife and the people.
I looked into going with other cruise lines, but National Geographic Lindblad has such a good reputation. It's a big trip. We just decided to go with the sure thing.
So as I mentioned earlier, we have 4 little ships in the Galapagos all year round, ranging from a 16-passenger catamaran that is incredible, And then also a 48 passenger ship with balconies, the National Geographic Gemini. And then the National Geographic Islander 2 is a luxurious yacht that we have in the Galapagos, only 48 guests, but still offering those science hubs and all of that educational component with that extra level of luxury. And then a great price point vessel I love is the National Geographic Endeavour 2, this 96 passenger ship. And that's the vessel that I actually explored Galapagos with. And it's really great that Expedia Cruises right here, you've got a fantastic group this coming November. And so please inquire because there's great group rates that Charlotte's been able to lock in and Jackie for this excellent expedition and opportunity for 10 days. So it's typically 7 nights in Galapagos, 10-day full trip because 7 nights in Galapagos, 2 nights in mainland Ecuador in either Guayaquil or Quito. And then our 7 and 8 days trips are 4 nights in Galapagos or 5 nights in Galapagos with again 2-night hotel in mainland Ecuador. I did want to mention a little bit of Baja California as well, because we have fantastic trips in January, February, and March that a lot of Canadian travelers are booking to get out of our Canadian winters. And so in January, February, and March, the gray whales are migrating down to Baja. And I actually just had an advisor have their clients come back from this trip. And not only the gray whales, but the dolphins and a humpback. They said it was the most incredible experience. So I did want to share that with you as well, because we have trips this upcoming 2027 and next year as well. But then if you're more of a cultural traveler and you love wildlife, because you can still see species of whales, this Baja California Discovery trip, that's 10 nights and 11 days, is remarkable because we're not only potentially seeing 6 species of whales, if we're lucky, maybe a whale shark. I don't like packing any expectations, but this is a great opportunity to have a cultural experience and then lots of activity. So I just wanted to share that we have lots of options in Baja. These are just 2 of my favorites. And then also, again, it's not only the wildlife that is as a part of an expedition, but also cultural. And so you'll visit multiple UNESCO World Heritage Sites on this Baja California Discovery. And so it's a little bit closer to home going to Mexico rather than going over to Galapagos. So I just wanted to make sure that something as spectacular as Baja was also on your radars because it's just a remarkable area. And so the National Geographic Quest and Venture are the ships that we're doing Baja with, 100 passenger guests. We're also doing Central America with these ships, areas like Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia. But I did want to share the Arctic because this is my passion. In 2010, my husband actually proposed at the North Pole in July of 2010. So the Arctic has such a special place in my heart. And that was my first expedition was going to the North Pole. And so there's areas to see the polar bears off the coast of Norway and Svalbard. There's more polar bears than people in this area. And what I love about going with us is our educational component. So when you're in an area like Svalbard or Greenland and you see a polar bear, if you want to learn more, the biologists are there, the polar bear experts to say, oh my gosh, the polar bear has webbed feet. It's an adaptation from swimming. And so it's a really great way, again, to have that educational component if you want. You can gain as much knowledge or as little as you'd like. And then areas of Canada and Greenland. Greenland's the largest island on our planet. And it's actually home to the longest fjord systems in the world. Greenland, I explored almost this exact same itinerary in 2016, and it was one of the best trips I've ever done. I loved Greenland. If you've been to Alaska, I highly recommend, if you've been to Alaska, I highly recommend thinking about Greenland. If you want that colossal next step of mountain ranges, fjords, ice, Greenland should be visited. And what's really special about this itinerary is Expedia Cruises, you have a great group, a special group departure with savings this summer, July 26th. So they've actually set aside space for this at an excellent rate. And what I love about this itinerary is the northwest portion of Iceland is home to some small little islands that you can't access by ship or by car. And so Vigor Island that you see on the map there on the top left of Iceland, that's a little island that's been preserved and protected by 2 Icelandic folks that are keeping the Viking history alive and they are eiderdown farmers. So we invite you, and they invite us to meander through their island. So this is an example of expedition where it's really important to the larger ships don't have access to some of these remote areas, or if they do, you're getting bussed in 2 or 3 hours to get into some of these remote places, and you have to pay to get off the ship. Whereas with us, the museums are included, the tips and gratuities are included on this departure, all of the activities are included, the guides, the 24-hour open bridge policy. So there's so much. If you're thinking of exploring Arctic and you haven't done it yet, this is such a great place to start. And Iceland and Greenland are so different. We also have fantastic trips like Iceland. Whoops, I keep hitting my video button there. We have also West Greenland trips. So if you're thinking about, again, an extra colossal step of ice, community visits on this itinerary. If you love visiting communities, this is an incredible opportunity to see Greenlandic communities. On the west side of Greenland, it's known too that over 90% of the icebergs have broken off that are in the Atlantic Ocean, that are off the coast of West Greenland. So it just gives you the magnitude of ice-choked fjords and beautiful mountain ranges. And the ice is just absolutely spectacular. And then we also have Iceland, Greenland, Baffin Island. We have so many Canadian voyages. This one ends in St. John's. And if you're wanting to see the solar eclipse, this is a great place to try and see it on this upcoming August. And then I do have to mention, we have 3 awesome Canadian Maritimes and Newfoundland trips this year. We have 2 next year. I absolutely love this itinerary because it's also visiting St. Pierre and Miquelon, the French island, in addition to pretty much fully circumnavigating around Newfoundland, almost all of it. So this is a really special itinerary. Great if you're a hiking and walker and you like walking. It's a great itinerary. But Europe is also a great destination for expedition. And a lot of people, again, don't think of the cultural aspect of an expedition to even think about Europe on small ship expedition cruising. So we have trips this April and next year. That's Ireland, England, and Scotland. And I went to England in May, and I have to tell you, the value of an expedition is there. By the time I put together my land-based hotels, by the time you get your Expedia Cruises vacation consultant to book your train tickets, your museums, your UNESCO World Heritage Sites, your private guides, your transfers, breaking up the price per day of an expedition, the value is there. To only unpack once, but to see these really remote places, it's absolutely spectacular. I highly recommend thinking of it. In this particular itinerary, the Shetlands and Orkney, this is a fantastic area to explore. The Ring of Brodgar, an ancient stone ring in Orkney Island. So I went to England and saw Stonehenge, and now this is on my list for sure. I haven't done this itinerary yet. And then also Azores, perfect destination for an expedition or your first time an expedition. It's known as the Hawaiian Islands of the Atlantic Ocean. And it's really exciting because it's also compared to the Ireland with the greenery and Iceland for the volcanic landscapes. And Azores is just incredible. Again, unpacking once. We visit 6 of the 9 archipelago of islands. And if you got your Expedia Cruises consultant to book ferry times and try and find places to stay, some of these islands are not inhabited. Most people just go to Azores and see San Miguel Island and stay on that island. Or some of you may have been to Portugal and have not gone onto this beautiful archipelago of islands too. And again, everything's included. We are even visiting Pete's Cafe. It's a great sports bar on one of the islands in Azores. And this was open during COVID. Huge for yachters. If you're a yachter, if you love sailing, this place didn't shut down during COVID. And they had boat repairs. It was always a place for transatlantic vessels to stop. So this is a great itinerary if you're thinking about expedition and haven't done it yet. And then I just wanted to share Mediterranean too. We have Croatia, Greece, Italy trips. But I love this little itinerary for 7 nights, 8 days. Again, unpacking once. Don't have to worry about ferries. All of the meals, gratuities, all of the off-ship activities like swimming and paddleboarding in turquoise waters. That's all included. This is great because, yes, we're still seeing Santorini like the big cruise lines. But we're also going to Delos. We're on the shore first thing in the morning. Big groups access this from Mykonos. Great to know that This is home of the goddess of Apollo. And so there's so much history in these areas. Siphonos is as isolated as one can find. It's undersubscribed. This is such a great itinerary to experience so many of the small little islands in Greece. All of this is on our little National Geographic Orion, 102 guests, great little vessel, perfect little yacht. But what's also really exciting too is that this little ship also explores Antarctica with us. So I wanted to end our time today with Antarctica. And so we have 4 little vessels exploring Antarctica, all from middle of October to the middle of March. So when we're there, it's just like Galapagos. There's no bad time to visit Galapagos when we're there. Galapagos can be visited all year round. There's no bad time to go. And for Antarctica, from October to mid-March, there's no bad time to go to Antarctica either. It's just what you want to see and do. So our little ships in Antarctica range from 102 guests, 148 guests, and 138 guests. And we were the first expedition company this past season, that's a passenger vessel, to have gone to Antarctica this past year. So we were the first company for non-scientific travelers, for explorers, for travelers, for tourists in Antarctica. So these little ships like the National Geographic Endurance and the National Geographic Resolution, if you want more information on these ships and what ship is right for you, please reach out to your Expedia Cruises vacation consultant, because the Endurance and the Resolution have those X-bows that you're seeing. And those are a new form of technology to cut through the waves, to make the transition and the sailings smoother. And this X-bow is a great way of creating and cutting through the waves. But also these ships are PC5 ice class. That means we can maneuver around 4 feet of ice. So they are a polar class vessel. And these are phenomenal luxurious ships. And then our National Geographic Explorer, I was on her in Antarctica. I also explored her in Patagonia. Great tried and true little expedition vessel. Still phenomenal creature comforts. We renovated her. Just not as luxurious as the Endurance and Resolution. And then we have the little National Geographic Orion, a little vessel there too. So we have 2 ways of exploring Antarctica. Do you want to fly the Drake Passage, that infamous body of water between South America and Antarctica? Or do you want to sail the Drake Passage and have that experience of cruising down from South America over to Antarctica and back? So we have a couple of options, and I could talk about Antarctica for a whole hour because there's so much to see and do in Antarctica. Again, there's no bad time to go. It's just different seasons. So early season in November is spring in Antarctica. So it just depends what you want to see and do. Shores are blanketed with lots of fresh, pristine snow. There's wildlife like mating season for the penguins. So the penguins are building their nests and stealing pebbles from each other's nests, and they're courting. So a lot of courtship and courtships going on with penguins. You can see their little personalities come out. But conditions are right. The captains too can park in the ship and experience fast ice and also gorgeous sunsets. And then we also have in early season December, beautiful, beautiful options for kayaking amongst huge icebergs, because it's starting to come into the summer in Antarctica, and the glaciers are having the chunks of ice break off to create some huge icebergs. So great opportunities for Zodiac cruising. I did see one emperor penguin on my Antarctica trip with National Geographic Lindblad Expeditions on the National Geographic Explorer. So you never know what you're going to see. And then February is great for warmer weather, peak summer. The chicks have hatched at that time. So if you want to see penguin chicks in Antarctica, and we're typically seeing about 4 to 5 species of penguins when we're in Antarctica. And then February, I was able to go on longer hikes in February. When I went in February and March, the penguins, there's lots of different age groups. You've got the juveniles, you've got the some babies that hatched late, and you've got some adult penguins, and they're figuring out how to get back in the water for their winter, most of them. So that's really exciting for a lot of the species there. Whales are great for February and March, huge whale season. So again, it just depends on what you want to see and do in Antarctica. So there's a few ways that we can travel there. We have so many itineraries because, again, Lars-Erik Lindblad took the first group of private citizens to Antarctica way back in 1966. So we have so many options. We have 8, 9, and 10-day trips where, again, you can fly over the Drake Passage to Antarctica. and it's a safe jet. The jet is one of the only penguins that flies because one of our planes is actually painted like a penguin that we use. But this starts in Punta Natales in Chile. We're the only operator out of Punta Natales. We pick you up from the airport, take you to an included night hotel, fly you over to Antarctica. The ship's waiting empty with our crew. And then after your expedition, we fly you back to Punta Natales, have another included night hotel. And then your Expedia Cruises consultant can either book you a trip maybe to the Atacama Desert or Terra del Peña, or maybe you go home. So if you're short on time, big on adventure, this is a great opportunity to see Antarctica. Can sometimes be delays with the flights due to weather, but this is an excellent itinerary to maximize your time in Antarctica and maximize your vacation time. But again, we have the 12-day trips from Ushuaia, where you're embarking the ship in Ushuaia, Argentina. You're embarking this on day 2 of the itinerary, crossing the Drake Passage, and then cruising back. And again, early season, this is an example when you're in November or early December where we can actually park the ship in the ice. And so this is an example of the National Geographic Resolution, a fully stabilized vessel, the highest ice class C5 that I mentioned earlier, which enables you to go where very few can. And so this is a really great game-changing design with the X-Bow, but this is an opportunity where if we land in the ice, penguins greeted me. And so people go for the penguins, but you're going to stay for the ice. I know it. We have incredible Patagonia only trips, which is what I experienced in October, but we also have Antarctica and Patagonia. So if you're thinking of Antarctica and you have the time, Patagonia is just like British Columbia. It reminds me so much of BC. I absolutely loved Patagonia. Or if you love the Rocky Mountains, this is definitely an itinerary for you. I really enjoyed Patagonia only if you're a first-time expedition cruiser because there's fjords and there's very sheltered areas. But if you are thinking about Antarctica, I highly recommend this 17-night, 18-day trip as well. We also have the South Georgia and Falkland Island trips. We have so many itineraries to choose from, but we actually, even in South Georgia, we've been able to offer the Shackleton, following the footsteps in Shackleton's last few kilometers, his last 6 kilometers. We're actually dropping off some guests if weather permits, and we're actually picking them up on the other side of the island. So there's so many, again, if you're an active traveler, if you're a leisure traveler, there's something for everyone. If you don't want to do that hike, there's a walk for you to see over 200,000 king penguins in South Georgia. So it's a choose your own adventure with all of our trips. And again, we are at the mercy of the weather and the wildlife. But these are just some incredible opportunities. And this is just to show you too that this is the small ship advantage, getting up to remote places. This is an example of the West Falkland Islands. And this is a great example of how close our ships can get to shore. And this is certainly not for those with cold feet. We have the polar plunge offered. Jackie, did you do the polar plunge on your trip?
Oh yes, definitely yes.
That's amazing. And I would love for you to share a little bit about your experience with us in Antarctica.
Yeah, so you did.
Amazing. And I don't see any questions at this time in the chat functionality.
We do have one. Paula asking about the single guest rate.
Great question. We have solo cabins. So on the National Geographic Resolution, Endurance, Orion, the Explorer, we have solo cabins. We're building solo cabins on our ships. So, and the Resolution and the Endurance, they also have balconies on the solo cabins. So we have great solo rates on the designated solo cabins.
Thank you. So if any participants have any questions, just feel free to type it in the meeting chat.
Jackie,
Otherwise,
did you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing right now. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, yay, there you are.
Okay, perfect.
Amazing. Oh, this makes me so happy.
Yes, exactly. It was at the Paradise Island, the 3rd day that we arrived in Antarctica. I took this picture. I asked one of the staff to take this picture for me. So anyways, my name is Jackie, everyone. I'm one of the franchise partner of Expedia Cruises. But right now, I would like to introduce myself to everybody that I'm the Antarctica explorer. Yeah, because I went there with National Geographic. The name was Explorer. Yeah, and it was a 21 nights or 22 days Antarctica, Fallen Islands, and South Georgia that Kara mentioned that earlier. And it was the itinerary round trip from Buenos Aires. And then we meet the National Geographic team in Buenos Aires, and then we took the charter flight all the way from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia, and then the trip was actually like officially starts from Ushuaia. It was the 21 nights. And well, it all started back home with a trip to the doctor, because to go on an expedition trip like this, you actually have to get a medical form signed to prove that you are healthy, or you are okay for that particular destination. My doctor looked at the paper, looked at me, and he laughed. He asked that, are you really going all the way just to see some penguins there? And I said, yes. And there we go. We actually saw 4 species of penguins this time. And after getting there, I'm pretty sure that it was about so much more than that. Let me show you the picture right now. So first of all, the Gen 2 penguins that we saw that from the Paradise Island. Here we go. And these are all the Gen 2 penguins. As you may see the background here, it was like we went there in late October, and this picture we took that from the Fallen Island. It was the first day of the Fallen Island. As you will see that the weather is getting better and better, and they're getting ready for the next generations, I would say, while the male penguins was looking for food, and then the females are protecting their kids. This one is also a Gen 2 penguin, and this is the second species which we saw it from. It was also the Fallen Island. This kind of penguin is the rock hopper, as you see that they are climbing on the rocks all the way. And this picture, you see that there is the whole colony, I believe. I just don't know how many of it later, but this is not the most that we saw at the time. We also saw the this is the king penguin that we saw on the South Georgia. King penguin, and there you go. This is what Kara just mentioned earlier. 200,000 king penguins at the time, like, and you can only see this huge amount of penguins at the time are in South Georgia. So if you have time, I highly recommend that you join the 22 days itinerary to the South Georgia. And there you go. They're also king penguins.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This makes me want to go right now.
Yeah. It looks like it's almost sold out, right? Like for this year. So we can try to plan next year. I mean,
yeah, I mean, if some people are looking, I mean, we're almost sold out for this year, but if people are looking to go, I'm sure some cabins are still available here and there, depending on the date and the length of trip. Yeah. That's amazing. Oh, what a great shot. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What a great
I can remember when did I capture this one, because I just keep shooting, keep taking pictures. And this is another one. It is chin-striped penguin. We saw it on almost like the last couple of days of our trip in Antarctica, and it's chin-striped penguins. And this one is the they call it a highway of penguins because all the penguins will go all the way from, like, I mean, on this highway. The red color one, you don't want me to tell you what it is. It is really smell. Really smell. Yeah.
Pack your nose plugs.
Yeah, exactly. Daily life on the ships was like being a floating school of explorers. Yeah, because every morning we woke up to I mean by the announcement about the weather and the ice. We were out in Zodiac boats every single day. I mean twice a day because the size of the ship it allowed us to go out twice every day, one in the morning and the other one in the afternoon, of course. And then we were out in the Zodiac boats every single day. So we weave between the giant ice, and that looks like growing blue crystal, as you see here. There's no, I mean, I didn't edit the photo at all. It just shows you exactly what I took. So we also went on kayak, and it was so quiet that you could nearly hear the ice cracking. Yeah, this is the icebergs. This is the sunset because
That's beautiful.
yeah, like this is the golden color, and then all of a sudden, because I took both of the picture on the same day, it just like almost half hour apart, and then the color changed from like the golden to pink. It was amazing, really amazing. And then this
Just
is the
gorgeous.
craziest thing. Obviously, this is not me, right? I took this picture before I jumped. I mean before my turn. So yeah, it was so cold that it took my breath away. But after that, everyone was cheering, and then everybody like grabbed a cup of water and then jumped right into the jacuzzi. So yeah, it was a really fun experience. Yeah. And because oh yeah, this is the open deck. Because they allow us to get into the cockpit anytime. Whenever this is unlocked, that you can go in anytime, and you can ask question. They love, I mean, they love to answer any kind of a question, something like that. And because it was the National Geographic, like photography was a very important part of the trip. Yet they taught us how to use a real camera to capture the light that hitting the glaciers. I learned that you don't just take a picture. You are telling the story. Yeah. In addition, they even taught us how to edit all kinds of photos from our cell phones, which was a really cool experience. And after finishing the daily activity, then before dinner, we head to the lounge, just like Kara mentioned, for the daily recap. And this is one of the recap section, photography. And we also have the geography, oceanography, biology, and photography. Yeah, all kind of informations you can learn almost every single day. I mean, different topics in every single days. You can learn a lot of things. And the food, I have to mention that the food on board was really incredible, especially the soup, because they have different kind of soup every day. So think about it, like after being out in the car in the cold and then coming back out to a warm soup for a huge steak or a bowl of soup, like felt like being a five-star hotel, right? And last but not least, I put together a short video of my journey. You will see like a lot of activity, the Zodiac, simply everything. I mean, the daily light of my journey. So I hope you enjoy.
Thank you so much, Jackie. That was so inspiring. And there was a question about these parkas. So yes, every guest that comes to Antarctica with us gets one of these parkas. And remember I mentioned that board of IATO, that actually regulates tourism in Antarctica. When we're cruising over to Antarctica, we
Mm,
do have biosecurity. And so, everyone, if you're not wearing the parka that we give you, which
yeah,
is an amazing parka, Jackie, I bet you're
yeah,
shoveling your own sidewalk here in Toronto with
yeah,
your
yeah,
parka.
yeah, yeah. I have that. Yeah, I brought that with me. Yeah, because originally, we scheduled the event as a in-person one, right? I was planning to wear the jacket with me, but right now,
It's
yeah,
so there are such great parkas. And so, yes, I mean, you can wear your own, but when you are wearing anything, you're a toque that's not new,
yeah,
uh, gloves that aren't new, pants, because you are required to bring your own your own waterproof boots and your own waterproof pants. So I just
mhm,
brought my sailing pants and my winter Gore-Tex pants from Toronto here, and then also just my Wellington boots that I packed. But
yeah,
someone asked too, with the jackets, with the parkas that are yours to keep, again, anything that you wear off the ship in Antarctica or the Falklands, South Georgia, we actually vacuum all of it. So we're not introducing seeds and species into these really remote areas of the planet. So we are trying to do as much as our part not to transition new species into these areas. For instance, South Georgia was just eradicated by rats because rats were introduced to the island by previous explorers from the past, and they've just fully eradicated rats because ships from the centuries ago brought over rats, so they were an invasive species on South Georgia, for instance. So yeah, that was a great question. And then parkas are also given for areas like Northwest Passage, Greenland, great little rain jackets for areas like Iceland.
oh
But we
yeah,
also,
exactly.
yeah, go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. There's one more thing that I really want to mention is that the weather, I mean the temperature in Antarctica, it is really not that cold because I remember that on the day that we went to Antarctica, it was around like -1, -2 or something like that. And then when it was not windy on that day or during the trip that let's say Zodiac cruising or landing or something like that, we didn't feel the cold at all. Yeah, because and then I remember after the trip when after I come back home in Toronto, it was like -8 or -9. Oh, I had a feeling that the Toronto is even cooler than Antarctica. Can you believe that? So many of the clients ask the first question they always have was that is Antarctica really that cold? The answer is no, not at all. Right. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, because we're not going right to the South Pole. And like
Right.
Jackie mentioned, we're going pretty much in the heart of the Antarctic summer. We're
Mhm.
going spring to late fall. So it's not as cold as people think it is, because we're sticking to the north part of the peninsula. So that finger of land
Yeah.
that sticks out of Antarctica, the fifth largest continent, that's typically the areas that we're exploring on most of our itineraries. And so expedition is not an age limit. It's not an age. It is a mindset. And so those of you who are on the line that have just been starting to think about expedition, there's a great sense of community that gets formed on board with like-minded guests from all over the world. And what I love about an expedition is that I was on board one of my Antarctic trips with a 99-year-old, and on that same trip, I was with a 5-year-old that was an only child that was traveling with their parents. And so
Yeah.
again, with Antarctica, traveling adult children or traveling with their parents, if you're wanting to, I had that solo question earlier, the solo travelers across all of our 7 continents on trips is great for solo travelers. If you're active, we talked about that already. If you're an active traveler that loves adventure and you're an adventure enthusiast, you'd get a lot out of a trip with us. And then the learner, if you love that educational aspect of a trip, we're learning at every turn, and I found it so entertaining. That's why I like using the word edutainment, because it is really entertaining. If you also like the wellness industry, if you really are a wellness traveler, people are coming with us to unplug from it all, get out of their busy daily lives. You know, we have great Wi-Fi on board. That's included, basic Wi-Fi. But if you want a digital detox, I highly recommend that as well. So a lot of people that travel with us are people that really wanted to get in the heart of nature and immerse in a great holiday to escape our daily lives in the large cities that you might be living in, like Toronto here. And then if you're a bucket list traveler, or what I've heard the other week from a Expedia Cruises consultant is a book it traveler, just book it. Those are the types of travelers that are coming with us, whether it's, I haven't cruised the Panama Canal yet. I haven't gone through that yet. So that's on my list. So a lot of travelers that are ticking off, maybe seeing a polar bear in its natural habitat. Those are the types of travelers that are coming with us, or maybe Antarctica is your seventh continent. In 5 destinations, we have a National Geographic Explorers and Training program. So if you do have kids or grandkids that you're wanting to experience this with, on our short Antarctica trips, 8 to 12 days, and then also all of our Alaska itineraries, all of our Galapagos itineraries, Baja California, and select Iceland itineraries. We have a National Geographic educator on board. The kids get their own field notebooks. So we're seeing a lot of multi-generational families traveling with us, and skip Gen 2. I had a grandmother in Toronto actually travel with her 14 grandchildren. She booked her 18, 19-year-old grandchildren, her grandchildren that were in the early 20s, and they all went to Alaska. And I said, well, don't you want your own kids to travel with you? She said, no, I've traveled with them enough in my life. I'm 80 and I just want to take my grandkids somewhere. So that's been quite the family travelers that have been traveling with us. Pairs of travelers, absolutely, brothers and sisters, and nieces and nephews are traveling with their uncles and aunts now as well, which is really exciting. Friends, but also solo travelers, because you'll find a lot of like-minded people on board. And we handhold you, as Jackie mentioned, an area like we started in Buenos Aires or in Galapagos, starting in Guayaquil or Quito. We greet you at the airport. We take you to included night hotel if you're in, if you're depending on if you're arriving day 1 on these itineraries. So we handhold you, and then you meet so many great people on the trip. If you want to be on your own for a little bit, of course, but if you do want to meet people, they're phenomenal people on our trips. And so we do have a 60th anniversary offer, up to 20% off select 2026, 2027 voyages. And then the trips that Expedia Cruises that Charlotte and Jackie have taken out are also in conjunction with a group discount. So please reach out if you have any questions at all. This offer goes until February 9th for new bookings. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your Expedia Cruises consultant. And I really do believe it's not only where we are that matters, but it's who we're exploring with. And I was on a land-based African safari in Kenya, and the guide could have made or broken my trip. And thank gosh I had the best guide in Kenya, and it allowed me to see birds and have an intimate experience. And at the end of the day, there's no substitute for experience. So when you're thinking of expedition, reach out to Expedia Cruises and ask about us, about National Geographic, Lindblad Expeditions, the pioneers in modern expedition. So thank you so much for your time today.
Yep, thank you, Carla. I guess in the chat box, we still have another one question from Elisa, and the second one is from Ying Lin, number 2. And then I have my own personal questions to ask Jackie as well. So either Jackie or you can start answer those questions.
And what are some of the questions that people are having here?
Like from Elisa and say, so which month do you think is the best to see the wildlife out and active? Would it be
In
December or
Galapagos?
January? Elisa, can you specific
Because in
which
Galapagos, the
destination?
wildlife is all year. September is a great whale migrational time in Galapagos.
Yep.
But something like Antarctica, it just depends what you want to see. I mean, the penguins are incredible. January, there's so many chicks, and there's penguin rookeries everywhere. The wildlife in November is fantastic, but you won't see the chicks. The adults are taking pebbles from their nests and building nests. But March is great for whales. So 5 species of whales are in Antarctica all year round, and they're in the Southern Ocean. And so I saw a lot of whales in February and March. So I'm a whale person. I grew up in BC. I love whales, and seeing humpbacks in February and March in Antarctica along the side of a glacier was absolutely remarkable. I will never forget seeing a humpback calf. But I didn't have that experience in November. So it's just, again, what people want to see and do to experience in Antarctica. There's wildlife when you're in Antarctica or South Georgia. There's penguins everywhere.
I guess one of our vacation consultant can send you a PDF file because in the National Geographic Lindblad Expedition have a little like a flyer to identify which month is the best time what you see in Antarctica as well. So I guess Elisa, you will receive one of the flyer from us. And then the next question for from Ying Lin 02. What kind of insurance do you need to visit Antarctica on expedition ships? Is medical approval required for all passengers or just for Canadian passengers?
Yeah, that's a great
So
question. It's for all passengers for our polar destinations. So we are in Antarctica, the bottom of the world, the fifth largest continent on the planet. And so I don't have any health issues, but I still went to my family doctor to fill out the medical certification form just to get my doctor approval. And so I put the insurance question back on you, Charlotte, because for us, we don't sell Canadian insurance, but I love making sure you have to have evacuation insurance and 50,000 per person of medical insurance. The doctors on the ships, we have two doctors minimum for an area like Antarctica, one that comes out on the landings and one that's a ship doctor. And so, for instance, I went and saw the ship doctor for some seasickness medication, and that's included in the trip. For trip interruption and cancellation, though, highly recommend speaking to your Expedia Cruises consultant because I think, Charlotte, you have a preferred partner that you usually use with insurance. And so definitely I get everything for a trip like Africa, a trip like Antarctica, a trip like the Northwest Passage, or even Galapagos. Anything from trip interruption. We had so much bad weather across Canada this season. And Calgary, the airport was closed in Calgary for 2 days. So depending on where you're coming from, highly recommend trip insurance. I think it's a necessity for these types of expeditions.
that's great. Thank you so much, Carla. And the next question is actually from me. It's for Jackie. So you have a great photos in your presentation. And can you talk about, is it you are already a professional photographer or whatever the skills you just learned it from National Geographic during your cruise trip?
No, no, absolutely not. I'm not a professional photographer, but I have a professional camera. So I bought it with me, and most of the time I use the cell phone to take picture, video, or something like that. I only bring my professional camera on a trip, like for example, this trip, Antarctica trip, or to the of our conference cruise, or the ship inspection, something like that. And just like I mentioned earlier, National Geographic, they will send, not send, they will have a photographer on board a ship on almost every trip. So that's why this time he taught me how to use the camera to, especially, specifically capture how to capture the light, because the light's coming from all the way, right, or any direction. He taught me how to capture the light or different kind of technique or something like that, or the settings or something. And then on by the end of the trip, they will have one photo editing section on the lounge. At that time, they taught everybody how to edit the photo or video simply by their cell phone. Yeah, because right now almost every cell phone has the editing apps automatically, right? So they will simply taught you how to edit it. So that's why you see all those pictures. Looks pretty professional, but I'm not a professional photographer. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your sharing as well. So today we running out of time a little bit, but thank you so much, you guys. And I saw there's one or two questions, but I would definitely send those answer back to whoever joined us today. And again, thank you, Kala, to be our guest speaker. Very honored to work with you. And also we thank you Yuki to join in partnership with my agency, East York office. And also thank you all of you guys participate this time. So we're looking forward to see you guys soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.